not seen faith. Where is your faith? See, I'm talking about that mustard seed faith. Come on with it. Show the Lord your faith. Well, I know him, this I know of him, he's my healer, this I know that he is faith. And I know him, this I know of him, he's my deliverer, this I know that he is faith. See, I know him, this I know of him, he's a way out of no way maker. I know he is faith. And I know him, this I know of him, he's my deliverer, this I know that he is faith. Jesus is my King, and he's Master, Lord of all things. And I know that he is faith. Well, I know him, this I know of him, he's my joy. Well, I know that he is faith. And I know him, this I know of him, he's my strength. Oh, yes, I know that he is, faith. See, I know him, this I know of him, I can call on him. Jehovah, Shalom, Shalom.
Happy Monday, everybody.
I know him, this I know of him, he's my savior. Well, I know that he is.
Y'all know we had a runoff election in Chicago.
Well, I'm talking about Jesus.
I just love this song. It's called By Faith. It's by my girlfriend, Charmaine Dupont. I just love this song. You know, you gotta have faith. All you gotta have is a little faith, a tiny grain of faith. You know that little faith like a mustard seed? I just love this song. But my name is Katie Lowe. And I'd like you to welcome you to Rhythm Flow Radio Livestream right here on Meta, Facebook Live, YouTube, and Spreaker. I'm going to turn that music off because we got a good show today. You know, listen, social media don't like for you to talk about elections. And I don't know why. It's a part of our life. And these are things that we need to talk about. And I have two great men that we do the show with. The name of the show is Opinions. And I like to say that this is the part that I like to say. I don't think they like for me to say it. Opinions are like assholes. Everybody got one. You know that? And everybody is entitled to your opinion. We don't have to agree because you can have your opinion. And you know what? I'm going to have mine. You know, if you say it's orange, I might say it yellow because I might be a heifer that's colorblind. You know, I might not see like everybody else. I might need glasses. But I'm going to bring everybody into the screen, and I'm going to bring in Professor Don, and I'm going to bring in Brother Raymond. And you know, Brother Raymond, he's got to do that prayer because if he don't do that prayer, I might get off on the wrong track. So he's got the he gonna come in. He gonna introduce himself, Professor gonna introduce himself, and then Brother Raymond is gonna pray, and we're gonna get right off into the meat of this show. Cause hey, I need to tackle this meat. Okay, let me bring them on in.
Hey.
Okay, Brother Ray.
How y'all doing?
Hey, Professor, were you with us today?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Everybody introduce themselves. They already know who loudmouth here.
I'm Brother Raymond from BST.
I'm Don Kincaide with a variety of different things, but basically with a organization that I call Kincaide and Associates. So we're very happy to be here as well.
Okay.
Come on, brother. Lead us in that prayer right quick.
Heavenly Father, we come to you thanking you for all your grace and your mercy. Lord, we asking that you continue to deliver us from all hurt, harm, and danger. Keep a hedge of protection around us. Guide us, order us, and your footsteps. We pray all these things in your mighty, magnificent Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
How was everybody's weekend?
Yeah,
Groovy.
yeah, mine was excellent. This is my birthday weekend.
Oh, your
Ooh.
birthday! Well, happy birthday!
Happy birthday to you.
Yeah,
Hey.
I've been
So
hearing
what?
that singing all the weekend. I started to pull my guitar out tonight and play for the show. I've been hearing so much music, man.
Ah, so what did you?
Yeah, from
So
all
what
over
did?
from all over the country, everywhere. People call with all my nephews and nieces and godchildren and sons, grandsons, and just everybody. And they had a corporate call. I don't know how many people were on it. All of them were singing, so it was cool.
Oh wow! I forgot it was your birthday. If somebody had reminded me, I would have made you a cute little reel and stuck it out there. You know, I like to do that kind of stuff.
Well,
Yeah.
I always celebrate my birthday in a sequential fashion, so that if it's in March, uh, my eye care, uh, excellently my eye care charity, instead of getting people that donate gifts or whatever, I always have those deferred. So I don't stop celebrating. So anytime you want to do something this month, let's get it. And so I'm celebrating just being here. And last year this time I was in the hospital, so I got blessed and I'm not in the hospital, not sick, and I was at home, and it just got cold outside, and I didn't want to get out trying to go out anywhere. But it was a great weekend.
Okay.
So, brother Ray, what you do for the weekend?
Well, we had a great. I'm relaxed. I'm relaxing this weekend. Yesterday was our 2 year anniversary. So
Hey,
yeah, the Queen took me out to a nice poetry event last night, and it was dynamite. It was off the chain. It was off the chain. So yeah, that's what I did. Set up everything for our 2 year anniversary. Yeah,
all right, all right.
two
Sounds
years in Houston.
all right. I'm still waiting to come to the wedding.
Oh, you're coming. You coming soon? It'll be next year.
All right, okay. So that when I come on a Monday, I can talk about what I did for the weekend instead of saying,
Okay.
"Oh, I just sat in the house and watched Netflix."
You watch Netflix?
Well,
That was good. That's good.
now I sat in the house and I'm getting ready to do I'm getting ready to do an event with the seniors at the senior center. It won't be this Friday; it'll be next Friday. And
Okay.
I want to give a shout out to my friend Joe West at Joe's Fish Market. Ah,
Hmm.
who is going to be furnishing the food, and I want to give a shout out to my friend at Overcleaning, who's going to be furnishing the beverages, and I'm going to give a shout out to my girlfriend Evelyn Arrington down at MacArthur Soul Food Restaurant over on Madison Street. Also, who's going to be furnishing the salad? Okay, so
Hmm.
I know some great people, and then I'm gonna give a big shout out to my friends and brothers standing together
Yeah.
who has furnished me with some great products for women. And this is the end Women's History Month, and I have got some great skin products. I mean, I got some top notch skin products, and I have gift bags and everything. And these are a group of women who come to the women's paint party, and I'm going to surprise the HECK out of them. I've got a nice gift for each and every one of them, And one lady in particular, I don't even know her name, but she gets two. And she gets two because every time I just notice that, you know how you notice people that do special things? I'm gonna
Hmm.
find her name out, but I noticed that after each paint party, she absolutely gets up and cleans everything up.
Oh wow. Yeah. She
Okay?
deserves it.
Like the
She
ambassador.
deserves
So I'm gonna make sure that she gets two gifts. And one of the gifts she's gonna get is very, very special. Now,
it.
to get into the MEAT, to the fat back, the jelly roll of this show. Here in, here in Chicago, everybody know that there is a runoff election, and that runoff is between Paul Vallis and Brandon Johnson for
Mhm.
mayor of the city of Chicago. And I'm also telling everybody I live in the 29th ward, and lo and behold, there is a runoff election between, I think they pronounce his name Talifero, who has been the alderman since I can't think of her name. Dorothy Graham lost her bid. He's been the alderman, I know, maybe 10, 14, 12 years. And I guess if he had have been the man who was, uh, uh, if he had have been, I guess, the beholding to the whole 29th ward, we wouldn't have had a runoff election. There would be no need for it. But we had a runoff election in the 29th ward, and you wouldn't believe uh, it would be like voting for two Johnsons because you got Brandon Johnson who's running against Paul Vallis, and you got, I think his name is CB Johnson or CD Johnson, who's running against Chris Talifero. And so
Yeah. Thorough.
that,
Yeah.
the thing was when you go into the booth to vote, everybody would say, "I'll just vote for Johnson and Johnson." I thought that was just a cute little slogan. So anyway, the thing was, everybody was talking about, the voting here, and they were saying, do you vote for the establishment or do you vote for your interests? And the established, I guess, I don't know, I guess the establishment is the Democratic machine. Do you vote for that machine because that machine has been in office for years? Or do you vote for people that have your interests at heart? Do you vote for people that have your views? Do you vote for people that you feel that will do things to uplift the community, to uplift uh, your common good? I mean, if you got a person that's been around 40 years in politics and they did nothing for the common good, do you trust that they may have changed? Come on, y'all, elaborate.
Well, go ahead, Professor.
Well, I'm reminded of a story they used to tell about a guy that found his snake, and it was real cold and looked like he was about to die. And he took him home and warmed him up and fed him. And when the snake got well and warmed up good and full, he bit the guy. And so the man looked at him and said, "Man, that's all I did for you. Why would you bite me?" And the snake looked at him and said, "You knew I was a snake."
Okay.
And so that's what we have to do. We have to deal with our conscience, what we know is going on with these people, and stop trying to ignore them, because of our affiliation or because of what they say out their mouth. but you have to look at what they do. And
Yeah.
and if you don't look at what they do, then you tend to get fooled by the rhetoric out there, because the machine is that. It gets what you notice that Paul Ballas has a whole lot of black people coming out speaking for him. And but at his campaigns, I didn't see a whole lot of those people up there around the rostrum with him. But that's like you know, what we need to do is decide whether we want to go forward or go back. And
Mm-hmm.
so the country should vote. We can't blame it on people if we don't go out and make something happen with the authority that we have in our voting power. If we let people split us up
Good.
and use us,
Good.
then we're going to fall victim to the fact that they say, well, you got to vote for me anyway, because you ain't got no other choice.
I mean, do you think that? Wait a minute. You're saying that they say you vote for them because you don't have any other choice?
No, what they do is they use that as
Uh-huh.
they kind of hold people political hostage by not informing them of everything that's going on. You know, in the slogans that you're hearing on the commercials and stuff, these people are not talking about plaintive issues. They're talking about things that have people upset and afraid. You know, we're going to reduce crime, and and if you get this guy in, he's going to raise taxes. All those things can be done by no one individual. So no.
But let me ask you this. This is what I just don't understand. I don't know. This is the name of the show is opinion, so you know I'm opinionated. Here is Paul Vallis, a man that's been around in politics for over 40 years. And he's ran for political office before. Now he's been appointed to some. Some he's ran for some, but you know, I think he's ran for mayor a couple of times. You know, didn't win. And he has a record. He has a record. And his record is not a good record. How do we get all of these blacks, prominent blacks, to fall in line behind him?
Again, when you're doing the machine and certain people have their picks and they different what we'll call different platforms that they want to use, then they'll use that platform. And it has nothing to do with, now I was looking at it earlier through the weekend, and it has nothing to do with race. It's just the side that they want to pick, because if I feel like Professor gonna give me more if he win, then I'm gonna go with Professor. And if I feel like Katie Lowe gonna give me some more, then I'm gonna roll with Katie Lowe, and I'm gonna tell all my people, hey, we going with Katie Lowe because Katie Lowe gonna give us a little bit more. And if I feel it's gonna be Professor, then I'll say the same thing about Professor. Because I was thinking about it, like, you know, with the machine, that's another plus with the machine. But at the end of the day, it just strikes me how we can always rally around these Europeans, and I'm just gonna keep it real. This is just my opinion. How we can rally around these Europeans on everything they come out when they come out and do something. We can never use that same energy to get behind our own people. It's time for some new ideas, new creativity, and a new way for Chicago. And I believe in my heart of hearts that Brandon Johnson is that new, fresh way. We go with this old Semitic system that we have really, if you really get down to the nitty gritty, hasn't really did a lot for the people, but kept them poor. Ain't been too much uplifting from the Democratic Party. And I don't know how much, almost 50 years. If we're going to talk about it, let's talk about it, man. They ain't really did nothing for the peoples. So I mean, what can you even go wrong at with that? So how can we even depend and rely on a system that we have found out is broken, and we won't even do nothing to change it? We keep voting for these same people. You look. We got aldermen, we got state reps that's been in the office for 25 and 30 years. It is time for a change. They keep putting the same people in there. The only breath of fresh air we had ever seen, besides Lori Lightfoot, let me
Mhm.
put that out there, was Earl Washington.
What?
Everything
It's
else
been
was the
what, 40,
same old, same old.
you
Now
said
they
been
finna
over
go
40 years ago?
exactly, and now they finna go back to this. They trying to go back to the same old system with Paul Vallis.
See,
And if we don't be careful, it's gonna fall in line, and everything gonna go back to business as usual, which is nothing gonna happen in the black urban communities with all these black so-called leaders voting for somebody who don't give two shits of them. For real, he don't. And they're gonna wind up being in a worse hole than we've been in. Our kids are already struggling at an astronomical rate, whether it's mental health or violence, sex abuse, and depression. We're not looking at none of that. We talking about who gonna get in, gonna help us, because we looking at lining our pockets. We ain't talking about lining our culture, our strength, and our community and our system, because that's what's all about. If we ain't doing that, then Katie Lowe and Professor, we ain't really doing nothing. And what I see in it for this race, that's
Hmm.
all about what can we get, because they ain't doing nothing. You look at the violence, you look at the unemployment, look at the dropout rate, you look at the suicide rate, you look at the homicide rate, and that'll tell you what anybody doing.
well, I'm gonna put it like this: the person that's closest to the political consciousness of the modern day people in the street in Chicago right now would be Brandon, because he's younger and he's been out there in the streets and experienced more of street life here. He probably knows more about what they need. And not have nothing to do with race. You got to do with understanding what the eco politics call for. And so this preaching that you're gonna get a trickle down from the rich folk, letting the money trickle down to help people, hasn't worked. Didn't work for Reagan. How's it gonna work for us now? We keep voting, hoping that people who have no conscience will develop a conscious mind and have
Ooh, talk about
and,
it.
and have some compassion when they don't have it in them. They didn't have compassion for anybody that they came over here and wound up colonizing and killing out for whatever reason, whether it was oil, gold, or whatever they wanted. They went in and took it by force. And so when you ask me, do we what we need? We need some fresh blood, young, and don't talk about this young man and what the other man's experience happens to be. Experience doesn't necessarily mean that you're good for something. Hell, there's a whole lot. Columbus was a good sailor, but somebody got lost and didn't know where he was going.
No, he
Right.
was more than lost.
Yeah, he
He was
got lost.
more than lost. He might have been a good sailor, but he was a tyrant.
No, he was
He was a
in
rapist.
in the eyesight of the
Oh, I'm
people who
sorry.
sent him over here. He was
Okay.
serving a dual purpose, like these people I'm talking about. Where I brought him up.
Mm-hmm.
Some people have overt intentions. Some of them have covert intentions.
Okay.
And when you start looking at the covert intentions, people are not going to come straight forward and tell you what their agendas happen to be.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
when a man goes down, I'm gonna put it like this. It's my opinion because I'm from down south. I grew up down south. But when you go down in the heart of the Ku Klux Klan country and get accepted by them, you don't just walk up in those kind of groups right there and get accepted without having some affiliation with their beliefs. And
That's right.
so tell me which one of these two candidates was in Louisiana down partnered up with David Dukes, arm in arm. And so when you when you're not going to hear him talk about that. But when the FOP came out and endorsed him straight away, he wanted to distance himself from that, because he didn't want it to be that blatant. He wanted to stay covert with what he's trying to do and fool people into thinking he's about something that he's not. That's
Exactly. Yeah. And
our people keep on jumping up. I
But
see
but the FOP endorsed him. But then I looked at all of these blacks who jumped on the bandwagon, and I looked at some people that I knew, and I tell you, I was appalled behind it.
Yeah, but
And
the ones that are jumping on the bandwagon are either have something at stake or they don't have political at risk anymore. Jesse White, for instance, he's not running for office anymore. I mean, he can come out and endorse whoever he wants to. He would have been wise not to, but he did. And so he didn't take the high road. But the other people you see, there's some ladies I see. If you go back in their background, they worked in the Chicago public schools, or they have charter schools or whatever that this man has helped them with and able to help fund them or whatever. Because they talk about him opening all these schools and stuff up. I remember when they were closing schools down here at such an alarming rate, they didn't know where they were going to put the students at.
Exactly.
And so he was around then. So what has changed so drastically about him? Like I said about the snake. If the man knew the snake and he took him in his house and warmed him up, you can expect the consequences to be not so. So what could the snake give him in the first place? And so here's
the idea that someone called it out that he really doesn't live in the city of Chicago.
Of course he does not.
And he came up with this answer about his wife and his kids wanting to live around their friends. And he lives where he does his business.
I'm trying to find this goddamn thing.
And
where is this thing at? God damn it.
I just thought that was just such a crazy answer.
Well, everything that you've heard them do in the debate, try to deal with, he wants to make it look like he's on the high road and Brandon is trying to bash his reputation or whatever. If I were Brandon's advisor, I would tell the people, look, I may not have all the experience, but I'm young enough to learn, and I'm willing to work with the people from whatever part of Chicago that I need to work with, all of Chicago, not segregate. And so I want to know if my opponent is willing to do that, since it's apparent that he's not living that way.
Well,
those are the kind of questions.
I think one of the things that mostly turned me off about him was that his record with the Chicago public school system. Another thing is where he tried to cover up an incident, of sexual sexual nature in the school system. That was another thing that turned me off. And then I guess the FOP coming outright endorsing him early on, and then him like trying to shy away from it. Okay,
See, what he's trying to do is appeal to the prurient interest of the general public that has that identifies with money in Chicago. And everybody want to identify with a 6 or 8 figure income or a bank account or whatever. That all of us would like to have that, but unfortunately, we don't all have it, and so we have to deal with the grim realities of where we are and work from there. Well, if we walk around in a delusional state and assume that we're going to be something that we're not, just because of what we go out and buy and adorn ourselves with, or what we ride around in, or whatever, that's not necessarily going to make the person. The illusion is over after you get out of the car, or after you, after you leave the community that you're living in, or whatever. So um, when it comes down to who's going to lead and go forward and try to bring Chicago together, that's what's got to happen. I mean, when people
You
get
just
shot,
said, hold on. Go ahead.
and when they're shooting all these weapons right now,
Uh-huh.
Katie, with
Hello?
automatic triggers, with all of these little gadgets you put them to make them automatic.
You're not
Those
in here.
bullets ain't gonna have no eyeballs. They're gonna hit whoever get in the way.
You have to come into the studio. You have to come into the studio. You might be in the back room, but you have to roll down and come into the studio. You're not in there. You might be in the back room. And okay, it might be the wrong one. Look it up. Okay. Because you were in here and you went out. Or either you need to scroll down to the bottom and put yourself into the studio. You can be backstage, but if you don't put yourself into the studio, I can't see you. No, I don't see. You should always delete the one that look for the one that I sent you on the 19th. And that's the correct one. It should end in 863R. Yeah, it should end in 863R. You want me to send it back to you again? Boy, y'all terrible.
No, we're not.
Yes, y'all terrible.
No, we're not.
Professor said y'all not terrible because I just got to telling him better. Okay, I'm gonna send it back. Okay. All right. Hold on. We'll be back in just a minute. We already live in a society that is very, very divided. That's the one thing. And it's not only, when it's divided on a federal level, that makes it divided on a state level. Because whatever the federal level is, it's that all over, So when we get down to our local elections, and you have the same kind of people who are trying to run it from a state level, but they are trying to look like, that they are on the other side of the track, and they are liars. It's hard to cover that up. And that's the way I feel that he's trying to do.
Well, he really doesn't. To me, he does not
Say what?
appear. He thinks he has more clout in the political arena than he may have. But then again, you never know who's pushing him, where the money's coming from. Because it's nonviolent.
Why would you let money be the thing to be the root of your soul? to make you vote for somebody?
Well,
It's the money.
because of the kind of economy we operate in. America
Man, the way
is
these
a
politicians lie to you, they'll tell you that they're gonna do something and don't do it. Because I know the aldermen do it all the time.
of course they do, but then again, they would have already run for office and and been elected for a certain number of years anyway. And they establish what's called a political base or machine that they run out of, and a system that they know will help them to win. There are a lot of people, votes that have already been cast for them. I wanted to say
Say
that
what?
there are a lot of people in Chicago that votes have already been cast for them during the early part of the election. Because you got people going from house to house talking about they're going to help people with absentee ballots and elderly people.
And you are absolutely not lying.
And so now what they do,
Yes.
you got people out there. And see we had to go to court in Mississippi to stop this from happening on a large scale, because every time they ran for sheriff and all this, you have more black people in the area that they were running in, but they were dissuaded from going to vote. Actually, some votes wound up being cast that we didn't even know where they came from. People on the voter roll that were dead, they were voting for. And
That
people voted
statement
through it.
that
Yes, and so you got so much crookedness going on that people can broker. We call it vote brokering. People sell votes. They tell, well, I'm gonna be good for 800 votes. Well, people say, well, how you gonna do that? What do you need? Well, I need some transportation, and I need. But what if I give you $5,000 in some lands? How many people can you get to the poll? And they go to the churches and everything and do that through them. One of the most dangerous things that they use in the election is a sample ballot. It's an endorsement ballot. It's not a sample. Go down through there and see if they got X's checked next to everybody's name on there. No, it's some places gonna have X's checked next to certain people. And if you don't pay attention to them, people will go to the poll and go down that ballot and vote in accordance with those X's already been checked at.
well, the statement that you just made a few minutes ago about they will come to your house, they will send people to your house with those ballots for you to vote. I did believe that when I heard it, but my neighbor who called me on the phone, and she said, asked me, she said, well, in the runoff, because like I say, in my ward, I live in the 29th ward, so there was also a runoff for the alderman, and that was kind of being kept quiet, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now everybody knew that was a runoff for the mayor, but the alderman, they were kind of keeping it quiet. All right. So they were saying it may be a runoff.
Well, check this out. Runoff elections, the people who return to the poll, numbers normally go down. They don't go up.
I know it, but in this election, this alderman had over 50% of the vote.
Right.
But after they started counting, his numbers started going down because there were like four people. There were 4 people on the ballot, and his numbers kept going down. So then, just a few days ago, it was noted that there would definitely be a runoff. Okay. So my neighbor called me and she said that she called me and she said, do you plan on going to the poll to vote in the runoff? And I said, why? She says, because if you don't want to go, there's a man here and he has ballots and you know he can you can vote and he'll take your ballot in. I said, oh hell no. I said, I want to go and cast my own vote. I don't want nobody to take no ballot in for me. I said it may not never get there.
Or it may be changed before it gets there.
No, mine may not get there. That's what I'm afraid of. So I want to go into my own. And I just thought that was just crazy.
all they want is a signature endorsement to prove that they came around and presented it to somebody, and they can manufacture. Ballots are made to be manipulated. That's what happened in the election. That made Florida wind up voting for somebody else other than voting for the presidential candidate that actually won the election. And so when it comes down to the years ago, I'm talking about, and so when they know that works, and they have devised a system and fit it into a political machine that one gear turns, the other gear turns, and this gear turns, and that gear turns. And when all of those gears come together, they're all designed for one purpose, and that is to put numbers on the books in favor of certain candidates.
But why come we as a group of African American people, why come we can't get together and get behind a candidate? Why come we can't do that?
Because you got two different groups of people operating in the African American community. You remember W.E.B. Du Bois, right?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
And you remember Booker T. Washington, right?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
I remember
they both talked about carrying Black people forward and what it was going to take to get us to go forward. W.E.B. Du Bois was aware of the fact that there are some of us who are smart enough to go back and teach the other ones and help them come forward. That's the talented 10. All right? Booker T. Washington said, no, let's work from where we at. These people will allow us to get, if we pull up by our own efforts and bootstraps. We're talking about the same thing we're talking about today, but appealing to the social consciousness of a people who have no conscience. That's why there was and that argument's still going on right now. Some of those people out there who have made it feel like they made themselves get there. They don't think about the number of people who have bled and been beaten and dogs turned loose on them in order for them to get there. They don't think like that. They say it wasn't us. And so they want to feel like, okay, I can move over in this community and feel comfortable. I'm not one of y'all. As long as there's a division with us like that, then we're going to be manipulated one way or the other in elections and everything else. Because it's all about
and
money.
You know, also, you also know, Professor, what influenced that also was how Marcus Garvey was caught in the middle.
Yes.
And he got the flip side of it, and he didn't know no better, and he went with Booker T, and that's when W.E.B. Du Bois said, forget y'all, I'm gone. And that's when he left.
Right.
But that's the divide and conquer that we have right now that's going on in our society, in the Black society, you know, because I was just thinking about that terminology that they're using for us too, African Americans. The Africans don't even fucking like us. We Black.
No.
That's how we get.
One of the most embarrassing situations I ever been in my life was when I went to graduate school. And I was, I had this brother thing, the pro and all that. And there were 300 of us at a predominantly white school of 19,000 people. And I walked up to this African guy and I was going to give him some dap. And I held my hand up to give his hand. I said, what's up, brother? He looked at me and said, brother, I'm not your brother. I'm from another race. Well, not Brother Raymond. This brother was blacker than the suit I got on.
I know it is.
And so I'm sitting there saying, well, how in the hell can you say you from another race and you blacker than I am? I should have been the one who was telling you something about being from another race, but I didn't feel that way. I felt a common bond between me and him because we are people of color.
Right.
We don't have that
Now,
unanimity. We don't have that
now
cohesion.
do you remember that we all went to sleep in the year of the election for Hillary Clinton against the Orange Man, right?
Yeah.
When we went to sleep, remember this, she was up almost 560,000 votes.
Right.
Everybody went to sleep thinking that we would wake up to the first female president, only to wake up to be bamboozled because, as you were talking about, the machine has a way of manipulating these votes because there was nowhere in the world nobody seen that coming. Now, later on, I found out that it was nowhere in the West Hill they was going to allow another Clinton to be in office. So they had to put up with the Orange Man. But anyway, with Paul Vallis and Brandon Johnson, look at the house niggas and look at the field niggas. We're not going to call it what it is.
Yeah.
They setting up shows because I'm telling you, they told them this is a sure win. If you get behind him, this is a sure win. Now these are same candidates that went against him. And another thing I noticed me and Katie Lowe was talking about, we all talking about it, remember? Was how nobody brought up his past. Nobody brought up Paul Vallis's past at all. Nobody said nothing about the young man who was sexually abused by the volunteer and he wound up killing him years later. Nobody talked about that. Nobody talked about how when he was the head of the school, he messed the school over, and that's why the teachers union is supporting Brandon Johnson because they already know what he has already done to them. He don't care about our children, and this is the real fight. It ain't the fight about we 50 and 60 and 70 years old. The fight is for our children. And Professor, we don't fight for the children and get them raised up the way they should go, then we're going to see a plethora of these crimes escalate times 3, maybe times 5, right? So they said, no, he's going to do it, but there's no way. Crime is a business, right? Death is a business. Death is a business. So when we look at that, and who is suffering at these astronomical losses? It's the black and brown people. It's the Europeans, and they jog at night now. Now, when this is how you know it's a psychological change, because when the hell would their belly was scared to come out in the daytime. Now they jog at night. They walk their dogs, and these are some of the treacherous neighborhoods in the city of Chicago. And I said, I wonder if people paying attention to this. They will sit out like it's nothing and just come out. And nobody would touch them, not a hair on their head. But they'll go right across the street and gun down their brother, or they'll go right down the street and rob their sister, or they go right down the street and kill their fellow. And this is what I'm saying. So I'm saying with the mayor race, we need fresh, new ideas, man. And this is where Brandon Johnson comes in, man, because he was appointed by God. First of all, that's how he got there. Because it's time for a new leader. And if the people, and then another thing, we got to get the young folks to come out and vote. They're not voting. The elders not voting. And or if they voting, they taking their mail-in votes and they switching them. So we have to find a better system, as you talking about from the earlier days, to get people to come out to vote for real. And that's the sad part. And let's have 2 people there at the polls, so they just can't give them their machine, because that's all they pass. Here, put all them on there, vote for them. No. Vote for who you feel will be the best candidate for the city of Chicago and your community. That's all I'm asking. You know, all this is so hypocrisy how we can deal with this and say because professor put his face up there, that don't mean he's gonna win. The machine don't always win. I tell people
No,
that
it doesn't.
and
If
so
the machine won, then Trump will still be in office.
exactly. But the whole thing is we have to be careful how the manipulation, as you were talking about earlier in the show, how they manipulate every single vote and how they can change that vote into their vote. Or they can discourage you and you'll say, I ain't voting. And they know they'll say, well, 60% of them ain't gonna vote. So if we get this 40% here, this is how we win. And that's how they'll win. That's how they'll win this vote. That's how they'll win this election. They won't win the election straight out. They'll win the election by discouraging people to vote and then have the people say they don't care anyway. It ain't gonna make no difference, which it will, but they don't see it like that. And the people that's turn our back on our own people. And that's how that man will get in that office, man.
Well, I think what we got to do is encourage people to change their mindset, not go out based on some traditional conviction,
Exactly.
Democrat, whatever. Because if you look at the candidates, which one reminds you more of a Republican? and
Which one reminds you more of a Democrat, right?
That's correct. And so when it comes down to that, which one do you think you can go forward and trust if they got up and told you something? That he was going to try to do it. And the big thing is, which one are they going to hold to the fire anyway if he wins? When Brandon wins, the whole governmental system is going to be watching him under a microscope.
That's right.
This other guy can get in. He's already gotten away with stuff. He knows the in and out, what meetings to go to, who to meet with, and everything else.
Exactly.
We don't know anything about that.
Exactly. He already groomed, he already know. Now they say, let's play it out, man. Go on and play it out. Just play it out.
And so when it really boils down to it, as long as we jump up and try to go around with the one with the most popular candidate, or we want to go run with the runner, and we're gonna do all this. When I see these people, what it boils down to is who's gonna run Chicago into the future. Because
that's all I want to know. Because Paul Vallis ain't gonna be the one. I don't feel like Paul.
No,
Vallis.
He's not.
I believe that Brandon Johnson will lead Chicago to a bright, a much productive future, man.
Well, first of all, Paul Vallis does not know the core needs of Chicago. That's gonna stop the violence and all this stuff. Cause putting more police officers out there ain't gonna do it.
No, but that's the field niggas said they can do it.
Well, I mean,
they couldn't stop it all this time.
No, they can't stop it all this time. But what has happened is they've allowed the weapons to change the nature of what they used to be. It used to be if you had like a 38, snub nose or whatever, you had a real good pistol. And you show up at a 38 with a gunfight now, a little bitty kid pull up a weapon that shoots 20 times more than your pistol and a lot further, and he ain't but 10 years old. So who's gonna lose the gunfight?
Yeah.
So the whole nature of all of that has changed, and giving the police bigger weapons and all that, it ain't gonna do nothing but get a lot more people hurt, up, and shot. Cause once
look at all that stuff going up. Look at all this stuff going up. This is politics as usual. The casino, they got the new Valley, they got Chicago Avenue looking better and better, and they're gonna take it all the way down, and they're gonna move everybody. Man, come on. You better stop playing. They better stop playing. But
see, they're going over doing the industrialization of areas that they should have actually gone in and developed years ago. And down the south side, 114th and all of those areas down there. they're going down there talking about moving people who have paid for their houses out. And no matter what they pay them for the houses, they're not going to have enough money to go. If they 70 years old, they ain't gonna have no money to go and finance no new house. So they're gonna be encouraging them to take the money and go live in a retired assisted home system or something. And
They're gonna
nobody's
say,
gonna.
look, don't Iowa look so beautiful? You can go down to Iowa and you can do whatever you want to do. We're not even gonna bother you. I promise you. You're gonna have old Bill down there. Old Bill is gonna take good care of you, but we need you to go down there now because you can't pay this. And we don't want to put you out. So we're gonna help you out. We're gonna give you the voucher and we're gonna send you on to Iowa and all these other places, but you just can't live in Chicago where you come from. That's what's gonna happen. And so if they don't do it with Brendan Johnson, man, shame on them. And I'm just gonna continue to pray, man, because God is amazing. But that is the way for the future. You was absolutely right, Professor. When we talk about going forward, that's what going forward is about.
Yeah, because eventually the old people, all of us are old. All of us are gonna get older, and we're gonna get to the point where we're not actively out involved in things. The younger people can come along there. At least they have youth working in their favor, and so we can train them. It tells us to train up a young person, train up a
We
child.
can't. And all we can do is pray for it, man. Because I just want to fair. If you went fair and square, you went fair and square. I mean, that's it. That's the name of the game. But all that hypocrisy that's going on, and all these people that's jumping in front and intimidating. See, intimidation plays a factor. And then do me a favor. You gonna do me a favor? I know you're gonna vote for who I vote for. So this is who I'm voting for. And that, not the right vote. It's just they vote who they voted for. But it's not the right vote. And then give the people a chance. If the people choose Paul Vallis, then let them choose Paul Vallis. If the people choose Brendan Johnson, then let the people choose him. Don't make up their mind for them. Let them make up their mind for themselves. That's all I'm asking.
That absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Because when you take somebody's vote, when you take away the vote, what do we have? What do we have that we have possession of? Really?
You have absolutely nothing. Okay, we got 3 minutes left. Okay, y'all. Do your last saying. Tell me what you think.
I'm gonna say this, because I'm just so outdone with all what's going on with this political move that they're trying to make.
Mhm.
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna pray that my city finally wakes up and see that if they want to go into a new era and in a new direction, and they really want change, then they have both Brendan Johnson. That's all I got to say. Go ahead, Professor.
I say this to my little young G's and OGs and all the other y'all young. The same energy that you put in strutting your colors, put it behind the ink pen and vote. And vote your strength. Show your strength together. Then one time, put down your differences and get together and show people how strong we are as a people because of you and what you possess in your hand and you're capable of doing collectively. That's what we need to do.
Okay, my name is Katie Lowe. You've been listening to Opinions right here on Rhythm Flow Radio live stream, Facebook Live, YouTube, and Spreaker. I say, may we dine at a table built on dreams too big to be broken. In the day when all that is wrong is made right. When all that is broken is made whole. There will always be a few. Vote for change. Support the progress, not the establishment. Vote. My name is Katie Lowe, and we will see you on Friday right here with a conversation with Brother Raymond. I bid you all a good evening And I pray that you will all go to the poll and cast your vote, not someone else's vote,
Right.
but your vote.
That's it. Yours.
Okay.
Show up and show out.
That's it.
That's right. Show up and show out.
Make that change, Chicago. Make that change.
That's right. Okay, vote for progress. Okay? We'll see you back here Friday. Everybody have a good evening. Bye-bye, y'all.
Goodbye.
I know it is. Faith.